Hello, my loves. Welcome to episode 12 of Thrive with Sunshine, and this is your Senorita Sunshine. You can hear that my voice is a bit, husky, but I hope you like the sound of mine. And just want to let you know, this is not the closing chapter, it is the second to last testimony before we seal season 2. That's right. Due to this husky voice, because it was kind of down with flu and of course the spiritual warfare, and there was so many things that I was actually just trying to encounter during this time, and somehow my throat chakra was blocked. But let me just tell you that nothing is going to stop me to speak in the spirit of truth, to speak with boldness and tenderness about all these truths that I hold dear to me these years. Your authenticity matters. I also lift up a warning about the rise of dark spiritual forces, what I call the Reptilians. That's right. Who cloak themselves in masks of authority and spirituality just to siphon your energy and dim your light. I'm sharing my story of school bullying, office bullying, and most of cases are all my true experiences. At times I have these prophetic dreams, and I have experienced countless spiritual attacks. So if you're going through that, just know that you're chosen, all right? Do not terrify that. Just know that during this moment, be still, keep yourself at bay, and listen to your discernment, guard your heart. And remember, if God is your light and salvation, who can be against you? God, it's our refuge, and his light always overcomes the darkness to save a life that he treasured the most, and that's you. So yes, subscribe to my channel right now to hear more of this true sharing. What is authenticity? Authenticity means being true to who you truly are, your values, your convictions, the truth that you lived in. Instead of just being someone else, you're authentically just being who you are. Just you being you. Isn't just not being you, it's honest enough? Let me just tell you that. Apart from honesty, this is wholeness, because you got to discover yourself. You're aware with your words, you're aware with your actions, you're aware with your grounding, you're aware with your inner self. Everything just comes into a whole collision of alignment. So where authenticity matters, especially comes into yourself. When you're authentic, let me just tell you that you stand out from the crowd. When you walk into the room, all hate turns. All right, you don't need to feel pretentious, because you're just being who you are. You're not even trying to fake yourself like most beauty queen does. I'm so sorry to say that, but yeah, closer to that, that's the truth of what it is. As a queen, you just got to be who you are. You just got to speak your truth, got to speak your mind. And most of all, you have to speak your advocacy. What's your advocacy, queen? Your choices reflect you, not just pressure or fear. That creates inner peace. Sometimes when you're speaking from a place of fear, you'll not pace the peace. But you will just notice that the energy in a certain environment just becomes chaotic, right? And in a relationship, let me just tell you that when a person feels like that bond with you in authenticity, it builds trust. So people can sense that when you are real, versus when you're just putting on a spiritual mask. That's how meaningful connection form when you choose your authenticity. And number 3, in a community and society, when we choose to speak up in a community or a society, let me just tell you that your authenticity has the power to push against, to eliminate corruptions, injustice, false narratives. That is what is pretty much going on in the whole wide world right now. So yes, The more we choose to speak the truth, the more we stand in our authenticity, the more when we are uncomfortable, let me just tell you that you're stepping out from your comfort zone to spark a change. Not being a whistleblower, it's being a truth teller of what God has designed you. And as an artist itself, this is how you have to possess your true authenticity, not faking it once again. Why is it so hard just to stay authentic? As we know that systems these days built on mostly corruption, bullying, or control. They don't seem to like authenticity because authentic voices expose lies. That's right. That's why truth tellers often get silenced, shamed, or attacked. Your authenticity matters the most, and never allowed anyone to come between itself to just tell you to put a pause, or perhaps spiritual attacks that comes in between the way. You might take a rest and come back stronger and speak out their authenticity, and that's what I'm doing here right now. In the places you feel pressure to confirm or stay silent, in the moments when fear tempts you to hide, in the relationship where being real could risk rejection, but it might set you free because when you choose to be authentically you. So remember, your authenticity is your shield and your gift. It matters whenever truth is scarred and whenever freedom is at stake. It does not matter whether you're in a home, in a hall with your family, in a classroom with your teachers, or perhaps on a stage together with your director, or maybe you're in a large society together. Just remember, being able to stay in your authenticity, it's where you are able to set higher standards for yourself, and it's where you are able to ask for the respect that you deserve when you stand true to your authenticity. Number 4, leadership and influence. If you notice that most leaders that are authentic, they inspire us. Am I right? So it's important for us to know that when we stand in the valley of our truth, instead of pattering, instead of just navigating something that does not speaks out and screams out loud who you are, you won't be able to gauge with the volume of the crowd. So when you choose to be a leader that lead in authenticity, let me just tell you this. The crowd will be able to notice, and what comes and derives out from the crowd, it's that they're able to respect the courage of you just being your truthful, authentic self. So yes, choose authenticity. Anytime the way of just being a fight car. Please. This is like literally the first chapter of what I'm sharing about school bullying. So we all heard about Zara recently, and Zara was bullied too. All right, she was only like 12, 13 years old, pretty much quite close to the age that I was. And I was also pretty much bullied around 13 onwards. So I strongly speak on behalf of the voice itself. And yes, to all those poor school bullies, victims out there, listen, see yourself as a victor. Know that there's why a reason that this are happening to you, because you're chosen and called. Just know that. Please, during these times here right now, do not surround yourself to be alone or lock yourself up, because this is the worst times yourself, because at times your mind, the voices in your head can be your enemy, your own enemy, and that would be dreadful for you. And this is where things that you intend to want to take the next move to do something drastic, okay? Because this happened to me. I'm just letting you know, do not lock yourself out of the circle. Be in a contained circle that is filled with support, love, grounding, and positivity, okay? Speak to someone who you can trust, because the more you hold it into your system, the more when things pumped up, it's going to be a volcano erupt. And at times, the way it erupts is not the way you choose to see it to be. It becomes worse than what situation can be like, right? So apart from that, I'm just letting you know here, I'm speaking on behalf of all school bullies out there, all right? Just don't be afraid anymore. Just know that you are not alone. Okay, just know that you have a community and you have a safe space if you learn to seek outside. These days, we have so many hotlines that are able to just get you on board, and just to know that you're at a safe space that where you can feel not discriminated but be celebrated. So celebrate yourself during these times and know that how you can fulfillingly celebrate yourself is when you have finally achieved to pull yourself out from that situation, extract yourself out from that situation, and just continuously surround yourself with the assistance of a figure such as, if you have parents, they can be there for you. If you have a support from your spouses or partners, they can be there for you. Or if you can't, most of all for me, my support comes from the Almighty. My loves, allow me to share with you my testimony, what I have been through in school bullying. When I was 15 years old, I wore many hats to this very day. I was always a leader in clubs, competing and representing my schools and winning trophies. And let me just tell you that I was the most popular girl in my high school back then. I was a girl blessed with God's love and anointing. But through those blessings that I felt, it came with curse, when jealousy kicks and enviness and prying eyes became an arrow against me. One day, as I was rehearsing for a state-level science competition, suddenly out of nowhere, this biological teacher that has nothing related to what I was doing intervened, right? So she comes in and she accused me of wearing makeup and of just being too beautiful. So what happens over here, that no matter what I tried to explain to her, she refused to listen, right? So she comes in over there and she comes and asks me, oh, you have really thick eyebrows here. Before I did my trading, and this is very teen actually for my trading, I don't really advise that. But to those who know me before in school, my eyebrows really thick, okay? And she came over and she's like, did you tattoo your eyebrows? Why is your eyebrows so thick? You draw your eyebrows, is it? And she asked me, take a tissue, rub, rub, rub. Nothing came out, all right? And then after that, what comes here next? That she barged in and she took tissues and she rubs and just aggravate really hard, especially around my eyebrows and also my upper eyelids. Here, I'm not using any makeup here right now, and as you can see that here on top of my eyelids, it's a bit brownish. So she accused me of having eyeshadows on my eyelids, okay? So I was like, okay, do what you got to do here right now. I have something to prove that all is a natural beauty. And she rubbed it so hard that I could just feel that. I remember that I can feel this twitch around my eyelids. It was really painful and my eyes were getting really dry, okay? And like, I still recall that my teacher, my other science teacher, she was feeling so sad to see the whole situation. And she was just coming to stop whatever that the other biology teacher that tries to humiliate me, right? And with that, let me just tell you that she didn't want to even listen to my science teacher, okay? She's like, let me just continue doing what I gotta do. I need to find some proof, okay? So what happens next over here? Nothing came out, and then here comes like, she said like, why are you so fair? Why is your skin glowing? You must be putting something on your skin, foundation, everything. I mean, like, obviously, I was not using makeup because I was in my secondary school and schools are not allowed to wear makeup. But my all-time favorite skincare product back then was, of course, Johnson Johnson's, and we all grew up with Johnson Johnson's. I used to use their Vita C Glow sunscreen. So I used to apply that every single day before I step out from home, or step out going to my schools or my basketball rehearsals, you name it. Okay, that's my favorite product. All right. So no matter whatever I explains to her, she refused to just listen to me. So okay. Again, she tried to rub everything on my face. She found nothing. Obviously, a bit of oil came out because it was quite oily. That's it. And then here is this absurd side of her. I think she's mentally not right somewhere. And she dragged me into the washroom. My other science teacher followed, right? And guess what? There was a dish liquid over there, sunlight dish liquid. And she looked at me and she just looked at me and she's like, wash your face with that. You know what I did? Told her. I said that, listen, teacher, this is not a skincare product. My skin is very sensitive. I'm just afraid that it would trigger my skin, right? And she just like, whatever, I'm not going to listen to you. Just do what I told you to do. And since that she was challenging my ego, somehow my ego stood up to her and said, okay, cool. I will take this challenge right now, but make sure right after this you stop banging my head. We're just going to think of that. My other science teacher came between and she's like, no. Okay, Sunshine, just come down. I don't think so. You need to do that. You don't need to do that. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. So I'll wash my skin with the sunlight dish liquid. And guess what? Of course, I wash with it. I can feel like sparkling clean, right? And then she holds me with her two hands and right on my shoulders. She strikes me. She's like, oh my God, you're really beautiful. Wow, you're really beautiful. Then I was like, okay, after all that you've been through, you just want to witness my beauty. Is that all? So like, are we done here? And am I allowed to be left alone and get back to my rehearsals and practice? But let me just tell you that mentally I was disrupted. Okay? Because my mindset, my goal was to focus on the competition that we were in, which is the level of Daerah Selangor. Okay, so my teacher is very sad and she's like, okay, never mind, let's just call it off like for today for the rehearsals right now. I have another partner there. He was very disappointed what really happened. So okay, I took the advice and went back to my class, finished up my school until the evening, wrap it up, go back home, and guess what? I have my rest and I try to avoid any conversation with my mom during the time because like she was busy and I just wanted to rest, meaning that I wanted to avoid the situation and think less of what have happened to me because to me that was really ridiculous, okay, that how that biology teacher attacked me out of nowhere. I have no idea what's wrong with her, but the way she came up on me, that was like full of hatred, enviness, and anger coming from a teacher. Yeah, let me just tell you this. I do not know how to scan school teachers then, but I hope that now they're taking it much more seriously and cautious that not everyone can randomly be a teacher. I think mostly important, they have to be mentally and emotionally available for themselves to be available for the students, okay? This has to be set, the rules. So back to where it is, I rested and I woke up, and during that time, when I tried to wake up, right, it was this sore on my eyes. I still remember that. I could not even open my eyes. This is the scariest part right now. Imagine you went to a deep sleep and you think like, oh, everything, it's going to be fine when you wake up. Your mystery is going to be solved. And I could not open my eyes. My eyes was full of mucus. It was full of mucus around my eyes. And my skin was like burning. I can feel that somehow when I try to rub my eyes, I can feel my skin just burning. By nightfall, there were pus and mucus filled my eyes. I screamed from the top of my voice. My mom came upstairs to the room and she's like, oh my God, what happened to you? I told her the story after that and she's like, I'm going to bring you to the clinic right now. Come with me. So when we meet our panel doctor, he was shocked to see my condition, right? And he said, this is so dangerous after checking everything. He said, like, somehow I could turn blind because apparently my eyelids, especially on my right eyelids, there has been put in so much force of eruption, guess what happened? That was a soft tissue of my eyes tore. Okay? I could turn blind, because of this incident. Let me just tell you, it's not even my fault. It was someone else's jealousy and anger that she could not even contain herself, and she calls herself a teacher. What happens over here? It became a police case, all right? This teacher was known as Jeku Shaitan, okay? Because where we were back in Kepong, so Kepong was still under like somehow MPS MPS Layang. Yeah, that's right. So what happens over here? The cops got involved. My mom bring in a whole lawsuit as herself representing under me as my personal lawyer, and she spoke on behalf of me, and she said like what had damages have been done to my daughter. Sorry, I'm just trying very much to speak it out, and as much the throat chakra is just cloaked, but I'm just gonna bring this out. Nothing's gonna stop me to speak this, right? And I still remember those times that felt really disturbed, especially of my beauty. I started becoming very insecure, not because I was not beautiful. I became very insecure because I was beautiful. You see the difference over there? And I don't understand that why I was being attacked and penalized because of my beauty. Instead of that, it should be celebrated. I think that everyone who has that authenticity, that has that beauty, should be cherished and appreciated. Instead of being mocked, instead of being defamed, instead of being degraded, instead of others having evil intentions just to make you feel like shit, right? But let me just tell you that God was very fair at my side, yeah. Maybe you would not see that how karma pays you back. But from what I heard, that teacher was like literally out. She was gone, okay? And then the other teacher who attacked me, like, conspired together with her daughter died in an accident. And then she lost one of her arms, okay? Apparently one of the students did that to her. So the moral of the story I'm just sharing you here is that I don't think so that anyone should be belittled, anyone should be hurt, anyone should be mocked because of just embracing their authenticity, right? I did that too myself, and at times when you intend to be a leader and you intend to just embody so much of godly skills that is blessed to you, instead of others wanting to learn from you, they should not harbor something that is ill intentions. Most of them do that. I've seen a lot of my family, friends, and people that come close to me. They're always having that kind of ill insecurity. As from what I notice, the demographics of case school bullies are increasing, and this is just absurd, really. Because during my time, maybe no one voiced up. But yes, in my primary, I have been bullied because I was like pretty much the alien, the odd one in a Mandarin school. Imagine that. You are in a streamline class and all Chinese there, and you are the only mixed breed. So I would save my spare share for all the bully cases that I've been through, actually. Not just from teachers, from students. Wow. It has somehow circulated me to be where I am here today, that I have so much of light, that my light is emitting, my light is just flourishing right now. And I did not understand that. I just always felt like, God, why are you putting me in a situation that is so difficult for me, ridiculously, constantly, consistently putting me into a war within these people, between these people. These people are just psychopaths, they just come and attack you just for who you are, being truthfully authentic, innocent, and vulnerable. And just know that during this time, if you feel really vulnerable, keep your calm, keep your pace, keep your peace. I think it's so important for us to practice breathing. That's why they call it the breath of life. If any time that thing happen between, just remember to keep counting your breath. And most of all, for me, a prayer. Anyone who hurt me, harm me, anyone who bless me and grace me, I always say a prayer. Say a little prayer will not kill. Say a little prayer will save your life. So study from today. Who are the reptilians? When I say reptilians, I don't mean lizards or aliens. I mean spiritual characteristics. Those core authority without compassion, without empathy. That's right. Deception hidden under a charm. Predatory spirits that drain your peace, your joy, your glow, your Holy Spirit fire. See, these are principalities and patterns. Recognize that, not people. People can be healed, but spirits must be resisted. You see, the scripture tells us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against power and principalities. And that is why discernment matters. That's why your authenticity is your weapon. How to recognize a spiritual reptilian? Here are some pointers that can help you out. Number one, surface spirituality. Like if you notice it's a hollow fruit, but yet they tried speaking in commanding faith language publicly. Let me just tell you that their actions consistently contradict humility, kindness, or integrity. Uses like spiritual words to justify it just for control, favoritism, or manipulation. It's not coming out as it's embodied in their inner being. So recognize the difference. Number two, charm that chills. If you realize that those who are the reptilians, initially they're very warm, flattering, charismatic. Yes, they are. But you leave interactions after that feeling really drained and demeaned and unsettled, right? I don't know, I've been through that a few times and I felt like, wow, this person is so charming, but after having conversations, I feel so drained. So compliments feel strategic to gain trust or control, rather it's coming from a heart posture filled with generosity or genuine. Number three, gaslighting and emotional manipulation. Okay, to deny the facts, like, oh, let's rewrite the events, or suggest you're just being too hypersensitive. Hello, excuse me. We all have a voice, and our voice projects who we are authentically. So when you raise something about conscience itself, instead of making you doubt us more, just choose to listen to it. They intend to doubt our perceptions, okay, and our initiatives and motives repeatedly, saying there is a problem with you. Pretty much there's a problem with them. Number four, territorial and competitive energy. So you can feel like there are times they're not reacting with hostility to your competence, your beauty, or authority, rather than celebrating or mentoring. So they kind of uses like subtles undermining like eye rolls or exclusions, or what they do is that they gossip behind, they go to their own certain group, a cult group, and they gossip about you instead of directly confrontational professional feedback one-to-one. Number five, quick to judge. They're quick. They would be the first person, okay, they're quick to judge others, but not themselves, okay? And then they're slow to repent. So they hold others to rigid standards, but They resist their own accountabilities for their own wrongdoing. They will not admit their mistakes, okay? So they always intend to find excuses, or they try to come in like a peacemaker just to rationalize unethical behaviors of theirs when it just benefits them and seeing them as a saint. Number 6, secretive alliances and boundary breaking. So they prefer a private backup channel decisions, or they have their own cliques or family group, and they exclude others. So what happens over here that they speak about others by interfering in their role, your personal role, your sharing your confidential matters, okay, and sending others to act for them. Example, like if you have a problem, or perhaps like for me, in my case, if you notice that I have a financial problem, I try to speak my boss, but then he's trying to speak to his sister. I understand he tries to get them all involved. But what happens over here, the picture is that they were trying to undermine me in such a way that, oh wow, look at you, this person, Sunshine, the all famous Sunshine, oh, she's going through this moment right now, everyone has to seek empathy. They pretend to seek empathy, but they are not. They pretend to be concerned to you, but they are not. Instead, are using it to weaponize against you. Okay. So number 7, this happens when spiritual weaponizing. Okay. When they use their ways of speaking out loud and silence criticism through their eyes, through their forces, through their actions, and they intend to share your advanced personal agendas. Suggest like, I told them so, okay? This is the way that you should shut down your healthy discussions. It's okay, you're so lucky to be here, you know. So they put you in a confinement that you are at fault, and you should be blamed. Number 8, emotional coldness and predatory focus. So there are lacks of real empathy, okay? The kindness often has string attached, like patterns or preying on the vulnerable. So I was vulnerable, you see that, you hear my story, and emotionally or spiritually. So be very wise. Choose your discernment first. Listen, pray, and discern before you step into sharing your matters. Number 9, consistent patterns, like not one-off mistakes. Like they intend to look for repeated behavior across time and people. Like single incidents can be just correlated to many forms of misunderstanding, okay? And they use their patterns to review the patterns. You must be observing enough to discern the patterns. It will reveal the genuineness of their heart towards you. Number 10, physically, energetically clues. So being around them oftenly, let me just tell you that, oh God, being around them oftenly leaves you fatigued, anxious, or physically unsettled. You know, let me just tell you, you feel like something's wrong with me. What am I doing wrong? Why am I feeling this way? And you feel just so exhausted every time, just like sharing, talking out with them itself. It's just like you feel like your energy has been zapped out, totally siphoned, okay? So recurring disturbing dreams, like for me, it happens like every time I come back to self, there's this weird thing that clings on me, the energy that clings on me, and the spiritual impression may accompany to relational spiritual attacks that they're not aware of. So these few things as signs, if you see that, signal it not to be afraid, but be bold enough to face it and know that this is where you need to stand strong and bring your discernment and pray. So what do you do when you sense this reptilian spiritual mass? Simple. Prayer is the best medicine. Answers everything, that confirms. Ask for discernment. Seek yourself. Pace your mind. Empty your mind. Seek clarity. Then look for tangible evidence and weaknesses. Like, for example, I document everything. Like I keep my dates track, I keep my time tracks, I keep my messages tracks, I keep my incidents tracks and weaknesses tracks. This protects you and clarifies patterns and set clear boundaries. Make them understand. Be firm, calm, and consistent. You don't need to explain yourself beyond what's necessary. Okay, so here is to chapter 2, right? So as God's walking living testimony, I bind contract with God, right? So I choose to walk as this living testimony and speak my truth wherever I go, and whatever I notice. So here I choose to observe but not absorb. But still, let me just tell you that I was just felt led to share what I've recently experienced. Whew, wow. So to those who follow me on my Instagrams, maybe you know that I recently actively, just submitted myself and accepted a job as a
studio manager role.
And this was like, I think about 4 months ago. But I recently have chosen to resign from my corporate role. Let me just tell you that after 3.5 months working, because I really felt like a lot of like the system to 9 to 5, they are just so encrypted and corrupted in their mindset, in their mind, body, and soul. There's this dreadfulness in them. I'm really grateful regardlessly for the opportunity that I received. But let me just tell you that between those lines, I finally was aware and conscious with what I've learned. And I realized it's something important, that one thing that I cannot do and I would not do, I cannot negotiate my freedom, my authenticity, my beauty, my capabilities, above all, my God-given gifts, right? Which is my glow and my shine, unapologetically. So, throughout my time, I was very aware of this gentle nudges, let me just tell you, of God's discernment. I knew that He prepared me for the environment I was stepping into, okay? This environment that I stepped into was filled with power, responsibilities, and selfish authority. Some of them were masked themselves in spiritual, but let me just tell you that sadly they did not walk in His righteousness. And as His chosen daughter and His high priestess, right? This has been assigned to me from God and the angels. And let me just tell you that God allowed me to see every spiritual detail beneath the surface. Because maybe back then when I was in my school days, I was not that matured yet, spiritually matured. But now I am. So instead of embracing my presence, many felt intimidated by it. I don't know why. Every time I go anywhere, somehow someone will feel intimidated. But now I know why, because I'm chosen, called, and I'm working as this living testimony. So some women in the office, they were antagonized once again by my beauty and my strength. Among the men, I sensed competition over my position. Each time when I spoke with firmness and clarity, and this satisfaction rippled through the room. This is really ridiculous, okay? Even small things, example, the word directions that somehow highlighted very softly, it was a soft form of instructions in an email. It caused offense. At times I was ignored and deliberately being undermined. Oh, you're new here, but you do not know how to do anything. But hello, listen, I might be new, but I know what I'm doing, okay? Maybe perhaps you do not know what you were doing and things were not getting done. Yet God, faithful as always, okay? He provided witnesses to confirm that I have acted earnestly and with integrity. So I have encountered school bullies now stepping into office bullying that echoes my past experience back then, right? Being bullied in my school for my competitiveness and beauty. When I became more proactive in my role, fulfilling every assignment before it's being asked, somehow, somewhat, some could not handle it. Even the accountant, right, reacted with hostility. Can you believe that you're walking into office, professional office, declare, rolling her eyes and glaring with anger as though my diligence threatened her. I was like, what? Really? Because I just want to get things done and the clients are chasing itself for the invoices. And I've not been pestering her. I did inform her, and this was like giving a task like a few days before, but she was not around. So she cannot account it because she's having too much roles to do, but that's not my business. You were assigned to guide me through. You were assigned to assist me as the accountant. In just 3.5 months being in a corporate line, I recognized the spiritual opposition at work. With God's strength, I choose to detach, to break the cycles of toxic alliances, and to reclaim my authority. You see, as something I have to truly declare right now, since birth, I have been given the liberty of seeing, knowing, and sensing forces of darkness. That's why I'm called and named Sunshine. While I work at that office, let me just tell you that I had recurring prophetic dreams. Okay, each night a vision of stinking flies on a carcass. This is so weird. And I perceive leaders wearing spiritual masks like reptiles. And they were definitely worshipping the opposition, Satan. I discern deep spiritual, mental, emotional, and psychic illness. In many of them, it felt as though many of their souls were just chained to this apex of darkness. I sense attempts to drain my Holy Spirit, my holy divine light, my energy, my holy energy, and recognize the patterns tied to secret alliances and occult affluence. They tried to attack me here again, but let me just tell you, every night at sharp 2 a.m., I would awaken with unrest and being to pray fervently. I wake up at 3 sharp. 2, 3 again to my motion. Psalm 91 became my shield, my refuge. I keep praying, keep crying, tearing. The cynical energy even affected my little baby butterfly. Yeah, she's also spiritually strong, connected. So whenever she felt a sense of a heaviness of their presence, yeah, she melts during the midnight, right? So through it all, God remained as my anchor. And that's why I praise, worship our King so much. Preserve my spirit to affirm my calling and renew my purpose. I almost give up on this channel and say, no, Sunshine, you come this far. Today, I want you to rise and renewed again your identity in me. Unbreakable, uncompromising, and unshamed. Yet, even so, apart from noticing the shift that was shifting to a place that is filled with toxicity, I also noticed inconsistencies in workplace standards. For example, okay, this is real. One colleague wore a short skirt above her knees without issues. Okay, I saw that personally. No one actually attacked her, no one said anything. So there was once that I did not have enough time because I was constantly back to back with events and planning and so forth. So I came with a yoga pants and a pink sweater, fully covered after days of meetings, right? So what you expect? I don't have time to plan and go for laundry. And by the time I start the day and come back, I don't have time to go to laundry, right? So I was called aside and told my attire was vulgar and not fitting for a manager. I was also required to check in and out daily with my thumbprints. Let me just tell you that the way they treated me like I was a criminal on the run, instead of being trusted as a manager to fulfill my responsibilities. What truly surprises me is how unprofessionally complaints will. Like, instead, rather than a private conversation, right? As the HR manager, instead of choosing to raise the issue in her personal office, she raised the issue openly at my cubicle, while others linger nearby to eavesdrop. Repeatedly, I told myself, be calm and matured. Let those voicing complaints will spiritually immature themselves. So I saw people overstepping my boundaries. Well, I was tasked with managing a sensitive debt recovery. A secretary sent a driver who acted aggressively and upset the client. This undermined my work and disturbed me deeply. Yet, by God's grace and through prayer, I still secured half of the debt that had remained unpaid for close to 2 years, despite being given a team. I truly often found myself working alone at times. I felt sometimes I try to communicate, they don't listen, or they want to show that they have more authority, power against me, that they know more. So I remember once I was just preparing, right, for the next day events, and somehow the clients just wanted a place where they want to shift the furniture. And I did raise this matter in the group, and apparently, guess what? I was being ignored. And so, because the initial event was going to be early in the morning, so what happens over here? I was a woman, okay, with carrying a lot of heavy stuff on my shoulders already, responsibility. Hence, I have my menstrual. Okay, I lifted up 6 heavy furnitures, 4 heavy couch, and 2 metal side tables. Right, so just to set everything under control. Let me just tell you that, but I didn't even say anything. I was enthusiastic about like starting new projects. For example, I have this idea of a podcast because there's so many requests that, does your studio have a podcast? And after approvals were given, guess what? When I've already set everything up and get the whole team to get it all clear up, quietly event cancelled without explanation, and leaving me felt discouraged once again and misrepresented after all the effort of my preparations and assembling the team again just to do for the survey and prepare for my mission to a podcast that would be set up. The hardest part was being told not to even mention about God or speak about divine intervention. That really broke my heart. For me, let me just tell you that was a clear line cross. You see, the reason why I'm still standing here with a smile and still with a sane mind is because my faith, it's my foundation. My authenticity cannot be separated from my spirituality. And that's what makes me authentic from others. And that's what makes me different from others. And in humility, I also acknowledge I may have a bit of slight shortcomings. At times, I was not able to make it to work exactly at 9 a.m. or sharp 10 a.m. And I did humbly request it actually to start at 10:30 a.m. Yet, even as I walk away, let me just say that I hold no bitterness in my heart because I'm spiritually matured, right? Instead, I stand in gratitude. I learn through the experiences, and I have mercy, and I have grace. And I will be forever grateful for the trust, of course, the assistance of my former boss, aka my former brother and friend, who truly tried his best to help me in my most needed times when I was at my lowest pit. I'm ever grateful for that. But I also understand that giving a 24-hour resignation was unconventional, of course, in a corporate segment factor, and perhaps it's unacceptable by corporate standards, since the usual notice it's a month. But I just simply could not negotiate my peace. I cannot tolerate a certain enforcement of toxic laws and conditions that were constantly siphoning my energy and dimming my sacred light. In that moment, I was just guided by the Holy Spirit to remain true to myself. As a spirit of truth, as a spirit of integrity, as a spirit of righteousness, this message I share is shared with love, honesty, truth, righteousness, forgiveness, mercy, and compassion toward one another. So yes, my loves, let us make a difference. Let us shine our light in the darkness. Awaken the souls who need it the most. So yes, to my new subscribers over here, thank you so much for joining me here today. And those existing subscribers, thank you so much for being faithful to me since day one when I started this channel, which is like pretty much 26th of February. Yeah, close to 7 months ago. I'm really excited how my channel has been gradually, organically expanding and evolving and turning to treasure. And yes, just want to let you know I treasure you as my subscriber. Hello, welcome back. She knows I'm gonna finish recording my episode and she show up. Huh? You always know to show at the right time. So she is smarty. So yes, please do subscribe to my channel. And if you're yet to subscribe, hit onto the subscribe button and do not forget to activate to dedicate love to yourself first, because a lot of this channel will be teaching you how to groom your love and grow your love for God and yourself. All right, so that is where we are approaching. Am I right, butterfly? Where's your quiet? First time she's so quiet. She must be hungry. So there you go. The world needs the original you. Be unapologetically you. She agrees to that. And always remember, your authenticity matters. It's time for us to stand up together and annihilate all those cold reptilians that does not belong into our circle. Yes, butterfly?